Hello everyone, hope you're right. In today's video I'm going to show you how my garden is doing towards the end of June. Summer officially started on 22nd of June and the garden is flourishing and loving the heat we are getting these days. Weather is really nice and hot. Most of the time it is nice and dry, but we do get a little bit of rain here and there, which is really um, satisfying because you can skip watering the garden for a day if it rains. Otherwise you have to be vigilant on watering the plants. If it is really hot, the plants really need a good hydration during these hot summer days to look beautiful and to produce for us. So here you can see this is the archway which we created ourselves here. These two arches we bought from forest garden, and these are really beautiful arches. We really love these here in our garden, and I have flanked them by these two containers where I have got these junipers in the middle, and I have got creeping phlox which look really beautiful earlier in the spring, and now they have done blooming, but still it looks beautiful. They are evergreen and they bloom in late spring, early summer. Behind I planted these lobelia plants, one on each side, so one of them is white and the other is bluish, and the same here, and they are nicely filling up. I'm really loving this container idea. I have got these containers for a few years now and I try different things in them, and this is the thing which I'm really loving, with junipers in the middle and creeping phlox and these lobelias, and I think I will keep repeating it for next years as well. On each side of the arch we have got climbing plants. So this is my climbing rose which I planted this spring and it is doing really beautiful. You can see it just bloomed today and I was so amazed by looking at its beauty. It's just undescribable. I can't find the words how beautiful it's looking. It's like peachy pink and I'm really loving it, and you can imagine when it fills up this side of arch with all these pink blooms, it's gonna be amazing. And this is the grapevine which I planted here. It is coming on nicely. It suffered quite a lot of root damage because it was in the container for a couple of years, and vine weevil grubs had a good feast on the roots. And the same here on this side we have another grapevine, so same story here. And this is the jasmine plant which was in the container and it was rooted well, so when I moved it here I was a bit worried, but it's coming on nicely and you can see it is starting to bloom as well. So hopefully this will fill up this side of the arch, and this jasmine is evergreen. So my idea is there is some evergreen plant on this archway, and there is like roses and grapes, they are deciduous, so there is plenty of year-round interest. On this side of archway I planted anemones, and they were doing really beautifully. Most of them are spent now, and I have got freesia or fissa bulbs and they're coming on. Some of them are forming flowering buds as well. And I just planted these begonias. They are looking so beautiful, filling up nicely, and a couple of petunias. These pansies were self-sown, so I just moved them here. Further on I have got coleus which I overwintered, took the cuttings last autumn and rooted them and overwintered them and planted them here. And beyond there is hardy mums, and it is forming its buds as well. Here in this container I planted all my geraniums. I overwintered them as well. So I bought one geranium plant a couple of years ago, and every year I take cuttings out of it, root them, and then overwinter them inside my house, bring them outside in the spring and plant them, and they do really good for me. So save me a lot of money, and they are expensive to buy from the stores. They are coming on nicely. Earlier I planted them in the garden but they were struggling, so I thought I would plant them in the container. So they are coming on nicely, and these hanging baskets I have just done recently, so they are just starting to flourish now. So I planted one petunia plant in each. This is yellow petunias, absolutely beautiful. This ivy vine I got last year and I had it in a container. It was, you know, a huge, so I divided it in three parts and put them one in each basket. And this begonia plant and a couple of geranium plants which haven't got their blooms yet, but you can imagine when they are all fill up they will be nice and beautiful. So same here, this geranium plant is blooming, so they look beautiful from our bedroom window. On the other side of the archway, I have got ranunculus plants which are blooming their heads off. Really, really beautiful. They just mesmerize me by their beauty. They are so adorable. You can see there are different stages, one just opening up, one in full bloom, and some are spent already. Even when they are spent, they have got these seed hairs which look good to me. I don't mind them. You can deadhead them so they will bloom more for you. And I have got this coleus plant which is royalty coleus. This is the main coleus plant which I bought and I had it indoors the whole year, and then I took a lot of cuttings from it and kept them inside my house and brought them outside in the spring, and I decided to plant them here in the garden. A couple of begonia plants there as well, and this is another kind of begonia which I started from combs and they are coming on nicely. There are 5 of them here, so by the time the ranunculus are done these begonias will take over. And same, I have got hardymom which is starting to form its buds, and these fancy plants which are self-sown, so I just moved them here. And these primula plants I had in my container in spring and they were so beautiful. I moved them in the garden thinking they would come back next year. A couple of armeria plants. So this one is pink armeria and this one is white. This is almost done. And we had grass here, so I thought instead of grass I could have something which has grassy texture but it blooms as well, so it will be nice and good. And this is the bed where I have got all my strawberry plants. Now I'm growing strawberries for many years. Earlier in my gardens I never had a problem with pests on my strawberry plants, but this year there are few birds which are used to come in our garden here and they come and have a feast on my strawberries. You can see there are so many here which they have eaten, which is good. I don't mind, but they don't let me pick them when they are ripe. So what I have to do, when they just start to turn red, I pick them and keep them inside so they ripen inside within a day. Really missing the time where I could pick loads of ripe strawberries without even worrying for a minute. And few strawberry plants here as well. This is Esclonia. This is an evergreen. It has nice vibrant green foliage and it is blooming as well. Some of the blooms are done. I'm not really liking the blooms. They are not huge, really small blooms, but I like this structure here. It gives you a good privacy because we are like corner house and there's road next to our house, so you can imagine there's lots of traffic, so this provides a good privacy hedge. Same here, this is lilac bush which is nicely grown, really well established, and it bloomed really beautifully in the spring, nice and fragrant. It has white blooms which are all done. I try to do a little bit of pruning on it, but it is quite huge and it provides a good privacy. And next to it I have got this Photonia red robin, which has lots of spring interest as well. In spring it gets like bright red foliage which looks so beautiful, and also gets flowers afterwards which are done now. So nice privacy hedges. I do want to maintain them a little bit. Here in this raised bed I have got tomato plants, and the same here, tomato plants. This is the radish plant which is done now and I can see loads of caterpillars on them. I want to pick these radish pods. They can be used in cooking and you can eat them raw as well. They just taste like radish, or you can cook them in stir fries. So I was thinking to pick them, but there are loads of caterpillars on them, so I imagine it will be a bit of fight with caterpillars. There are mix of different varieties of tomato plants here. Some are cherry tomatoes, and some are plum tomatoes, and some salad tomatoes. Whatever seeds I had, I just planted them here. So I tried to stake some of them, and let's see how it goes. Behind these raised beds, I have got few plants, pumpkin plants. So I thought they would just take the space whatever is available. And the hydrangea plant, which has got blue flowers and is just starting to flower now. So let's see how it goes here. I think it would like here because it's quite shady. Not sure about pumpkin plants, how well they do, but I just had leftover seeds, so I thought I would plant them. And here I have got my plum tree, which is quite young at the moment. It will take some time to establish itself. Another pumpkin plant, another hydrangea plant which hasn't got any buds yet, lupin, which I started from bare root. There's schemia behind it. It also flowers in spring, and it's an evergreen bush. Delphiniums, which I'm really loving at the moment, is just starting to flower now, and you can see how beautiful it is. It's indigo blue and so beautiful. With its beautiful indigo blue flower spikes, it will just look amazing. And here is verbena, I guess, can't remember exactly. Salvia, which is still young. Geum, this bloom in spring as well. Now I have planted few chrysanthemums here and there, which I started from seed, and I just transplanted them the other day. So they do take a little bit of time to perk back up when you plant them, and it is nice and hard. So let's see how it goes. This is my peach tree, which was in the container, and it was rooted very well. So when I moved it here, it suffered a little bit. So it didn't grow up here, but it is sending green shoots from bottom. So I'm giving it its time to see what it does. One of the sweet corns, I started few seeds and only one sweet corn survived when I transplanted them here. Another salvia plant, another hardymum. This is fuchsia. I love fuchsias, and this is the hardy one, which blooms really beautiful. This is, you know, how beautiful it is, and you can imagine what it's nice and big with all these blooms throughout the summer. I love the plants which bloom throughout the summer, and they have nice structure to them. Another red robin petunia, and behind it I have got my beautiful bird bath, really beautiful. We got it made locally, and it is just stunning. Here is a melanchia tree, and it blooms beautifully in spring as well with white flowers. So lots of spring interest there, and you can see these berries now with summer interest. They are starting to turn red. I wonder whether they are edible or not, but there's like loads of food for birds there. And there is another tree behind here. So it is not that big, but I did a little bit of pruning in on it, so it gets really beautiful double pink flowers in spring. And these are apple trees. There are two of them, and they are really well established. There are few apples on them. This year they are not bearing many apples. Last year they had loads and loads of apples, which is obvious with apples. So let's see how many we get. And this is the container here which I planted earlier, and this is the container which I really love. This container is one of those containers which I'm proud of myself that I planted them. So there is a calla lily behind. It had one flush of blooms when I planted it, and those died, and now the next flush is coming up. And I planted some impatiens and petunias, and there are a couple of coleus in there, and they're just, you know, just, this is one of the things which is like you just put things together and they come together so well that you wonder whether they were just like pieces of puzzle that you have solved. And there is another perennial plant which I planted here. I don't remember the name, but it has one spent flower bloom and the new ones are coming. This is another perennial. I wonder whether this is verbena or that one is verbena. I think that one is a racemum and this one is verbena. There are loads of plants and I struggle sometimes to remember the names. This is conifer which I planted. This was small and it is getting bigger now. Another salvia plant, more chrysanthemums which are started from seed, couple of lavender plants which are looking so beautiful, they are blooming now. And we have got this circular lawn, so I give you the view from this side. You can see the patio over there where we have got our barbecue and patio furniture, and then the archway, and you can see the slabs which are made of recycled tire, and I love them, the grass growing in between them. But the sides of they are a little bit tricky to mow with those arches in the way, so I'm thinking to put some stones in there. Let's see, it could take a year. And circular lawn which is like 3 meter wide. I like the lawns, but I don't normally like to mow them or maintain them. They are a lot of work, and they are not that much usable for the kind of weather we have here in UK. It's really damp, so you can't just come and sit here because most of the year it's wet. But it looks good to your eyes. It provides a good rest to the eyes. So I decided to keep a little bit of lawn, and on the edges of the lawn I planted these box plants, which I think that they will make a hedge, or at least topiaries, so it will look nice and good. And these circular stones which are stepping stones, so I can maneuver around the garden easily through the white border. So we got them ordered locally as well. They are really nice and beautiful. And here I have got my sunflowers which I started from seed as well. These are dwarf sunflowers, and I really like these dwarf sunflowers, the huge ones. They look amazing, but they do take all summer to bloom, and when they bloom at the end of the summer, then they just done. So I don't like to wait that long. But these, you can see, there are some spent flowers which you can deadhead, but I don't mind, and they are like having more flowers. There is bleeding heart which I got on reduced price and was suffering a little bit, so I'm planting it here. So let's see how it goes. And next to it I have got sanity plant. This plant were blooming beautifully all spring, and then it suffered a little bit when we got the heat wave. I planted it here, which is nice and shady corner, so it worked up a little bit. Let's see how long it goes in the summer. In that shady bed under the apple trees, we have got another schemia plant which is nice and big, but it is overshadowed by rose bush now. And this is really beautiful rose bush. I'm loving it. The previous owners planted it, so you can see the bird which is more pinkish, and then it opens up. There is no young flower here at the moment, but when it opens up, it is, yeah, there's one. So it has like peachy touch to it, and when it ages, it is nice light pink, really light pink. So it looks really beautiful. I'm loving it. And here's another kind of potonia which has like these spiky serrated leaves. I trimmed it a little bit. And there is blazing silver paris. It blooms beautifully. It has really beautiful vibrant pink foliage in spring, and then that foliage turns silver green when they age. So it has really good spring interest as well. More apples I can spot now. So underneath I planted all my hukra plants. So I had 1 to 2 hukra plants, which one I planted as it is, so it is nice and big, and the other one I divided, so you can see the smaller hukra plants, and hopefully they will get beautiful, big and beautiful as well. Behind there's fox club plant as well, which they were self-sown in my previous garden, so I just took the seedlings out and brought with me. There are dianthus plants which I started from seed. They are growing nicely as well. There is my other apple tree which is still young. It was in the container, so let's see how it goes. These are the chrysanthemum plants which I planted earlier in the spring, so I started them last autumn, so they are nice big now and getting their flower buds as well. Dahlia plants here and some of the hardy salvia plants. Now, I'm not sure what's the difference about when these salvia plant the other, but they are kind of very different from each other, so when they bloom then I will see, but they were sold as hardy salvia. The other one is hardy as well because it comes back every year, but that's more like from sage family. I think this is different. And couple of senior plants which are not doing that good. And there's another hydrangea plant, and it has got white flower heads. It's not blooming yet. Hostas, couple of hostas which are starting to send their flower spikes. This is pale laurel which I pruned earlier in the spring, so I wanted it to have a tree form, and it is getting its new foliage now. And underneath there is a rhododendron which I believe is still young, so it's not doing that good, but once it gets mature and established, I imagine it will be a nice spring interest. More dianthus plants which I collected these seeds and started them and planted them here and there, and I have got a video how to collect dianthus seeds, so if you're interested I will post the link to that video in the description box. So borders are coming along nicely. They are still young plants, so you can imagine it will take some time for them to establish, but we have got good backdrop because the previous owners have planted the bushes and the trees which have year-round interest. They are evergreens and they offer a good privacy, and there is like lots of spring and summer interest to them. And this one is amazing. This one is the most beautiful of them all. This is Acer tree, and it has got really beautiful burgundy foliage. I really like this tree, and this provides the most interest in this garden. Here I have got few containers lined. There I got a zucchini plant, and this is my raspberry loganberry bush. Just picked a couple of these today. They're just starting to ripen. Let's see if birds like them. Blackberry bush, and this is my kiwi plant which is in its 4th year, and this year it's flowered, and hopefully we will get some kiwis. You can see there are small kiwis. These are hardy kiwis, so they are not fuzzy kiwis, so you can eat them whole as a berry. And next I have got my garden peas climbing up the trellis. They're just starting to form the pea pods. Here in this container I planted my bean plants earlier, and they suffered when I transplanted them, so I thought they are not gonna do it, so I planted a clematis plant here. Now a couple of bean plants survived and they're coming along nicely, and clematis is growing good as well, so let's see how it goes. And in these two containers I have got my cucumber plants, and they are doing good. I spotted a few little cucumbers on them, and there I took petunia cuttings today, so my petunia plants are doing really well. I bought them a tray for like a few pounds, and they are so beautiful, so I thought I will take some cuttings so I can have more of them. Here I started some seeds which I can't remember exactly what are these. Spring onions, more seeds here, and these are my mint plants. I have this container for many years now, and every year this mint plants come back, and we have plenty of mint harvest from our garden that we don't have to buy from grocery store. Another container where I have got this hardymum and camellia plant. So in spring these camellia plants serve as a central plant, and because this is still young, and now in summer this hardymum is serving as a central plant, and it is got buds now. So this ivy vine which I was talking about, it was huge, so I divided it in 3 parts, planted 1 back here and 2 in the hanging baskets. Geranium, coleus and petunia plants what were left over, I planted them here. These are alliums which are just starting to form their flower buds now. More bean plants. These are dwarf bean bush plants, and I have got some bean plants in here which haven't sprouted yet. Got my garlic plants lined up. These are in grow bags, and in the last 3 grow bags I have planted potatoes. One of them has sprouted, the others not, so let's see. So overall I'm quite happy with the progress we have done this year. So we moved earlier this year in February, towards the end of January, February, and we did a lot of work. Earlier it was just the lawn with good backdrop of these mature shrubs and trees, but I wanted to have flowers and vegetables, so I designed it myself, I can say, and planted these flowers here and vegetables. So let's see how it goes and how it fills up. I'm really looking forward to the future years when it is nice and full. Let's take you to the front yard now and show you what's going on there. So at the front of the house, basically we have got few patches where we had some plants which were planted earlier, and they are nice and big, and you can see this creepy creature there, a snail, looking beautiful. But we have got a couple of conifers and bay laurel which are nice and big, looking beautiful. These are evergreens, and there's a tree which is dead, so I thought to plant a climbing vine here which is evergreen. Can't remember the name of it, but it has really beautiful tropical looking flowers, and it is growing really well around it. So I hope that it pulls up this tree, and this tree can provide a support to it. I planted a couple of heathers on the edge. This is sedum which will bloom yellow flowers, few lavender plants which are not doing that good as the ones in the backyard, but I hope they will perk up soon. Few salvia plants, one of them is blooming, daisy plant which is also blooming and about to be done, some peony plants which are still young, so won't bloom for a few years. I planted this white Sheila and this hibiscus here from bedwoods, and they are coming on nicely. This rose, standard rose plant I got from supermarket, so I planted it here. And this cherry plant, I like to grow fruit trees in my garden, and some Aubracia and campanula. Aubracias are done, campanula is just started. And here I have got this setup of containers. So there is my beautiful hanging basket. I got this on reduced price towards the end of spring, and it had primulas in there and fences, and I took care of it, and it worked so well that you can see there is like these sweet williams behind which are almost done now. I think I can deadhead them, but it looks so beautiful. I took the primulas out and put the impatiens and lobelias in there. These are scabicia plants which I started from seed last year, and they overwintered. We had really rough winter this year, but they still survived, so I think I can plant them in my backyard as well. These containers, I planted them with impatiens and lobelias, petunias. They are just blooming their heads off. These are the petunia plants which I was talking about, that I'm loving them, so I took few cuttings from them, and I can have more plants for free. So if you are wondering how to take petunia cuttings and have petunia plants for free, I have got a video on my channel where I put the link in the description box, so you can check it out. These are the pepper plants and eggplants. So you may be wondering why I have got my pepper plants and eggplants in the front yard, because this is the sunniest part of the garden. Back garden does not get as much light as this front yard because the sun rises here, so it gets sunlight all the day, like 8 to 10 hours. The backyard is quite tricky at the moment because they are like mature shrubs and trees, and also it's like west facing, does not get that much light. So I'm experimenting with my vegetable plants to see where they will like most. I have got few in my backyard as well, but these are quite ahead. This is another container which I'm really loving. I have got this cosmos plant here which is starting to bloom. You can see how many buds it has got. Petunia plants and lobelias and marigolds. Marigold, I think I may have to take it out and put it in my backyard because it's not showing that much. And there's another petunia plant which is yellow one, which is also not showing up, so I may have to take these out from here. Phlox plant which is just starting to form flower buds. behind is honeysuckle, which I want to climb up this pine tree. You can see we have got this amazing pine tree here, which was planted earlier, and it is nice, well established, so it provides a lot of interest here at the front of the house. Another container where I have got hebe as centerpiece and loads of other plants, danthus and coleus and impatiens, lobelias. They are filling up nicely. Couple of vinca plants, I believe, I'm not quite sure, but they have kind of climbing habit, which is common to vinca. And another container where I have got this euonymus as a centerpiece, and the other summer bedding plants. This is a climbing rose which I planted here, and look how beautiful this is. Just amazing, so beautiful. So I wanted to climb up this trellis. And this is another beautiful hanging basket which I also got on offer, and I took the primulas out and planted these summer flowers, so it is doing its thing. It's looking absolutely beautiful. Here on this side of the house we have got a little bit of patch where I have got one more rose plant which is starting to form its flowers as well. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, just beautiful. This is also climbing rose, and I wanted to climb up here. Now I believe when I bought it, it was white roses, but it's turning out to be pink. Maybe mislabeling. This is achillea, which is starting to form its flower buds as well. Ceanothus bush, I wanted to fill up this side, and it is evergreen and gets very beautiful small flower heads which are purple color. So in late spring, early summer, it has loads of interest. And another clematis I planted there. Few more heathers here and creeping phlox, so I want them to cover the ground. And this is Perlia, which is starting to form its flower buds. Hebe plants, and this is dogwood. It's not that good, but it offers good winter rust where there's bright stems. This forsythia, which I started from bare root, and once it grows big, it has like yellowish leaves, yellowish foliage in early spring, so lots of interest there as well. And that tree I'm not sure about what is it, so we'll find out later once it blooms, or maybe it never blooms. But it has got loads and loads of insects on it, which is good because it is providing, as insect trap. So if the insect are attracted to it and my rest of the garden is saved, I don't mind having it here. So this is all about my small urban garden. I hope you enjoyed walking with me through the garden and looking at the plants, what's growing in here. And if you want to stay updated about how it grows in future and my summer harvest videos, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my garden videos. Thank you very much for watching today. See you next time. Bye.